Hello, dear students. Today we will talk about the next lesson of your textbook, that is crop production and management. And in this lesson, we will deal with the different types of crops and how we can manage these crops or foods so that it can be distributed to all the population. The crop production and management, what all the living organisms need is the food. That means food requirement is the foremost essential requirement for all living organisms. Either it may be animals or plants, but the plants make their own food, and animals are dependent on plants. This food requirement for animals is very essential. So, how the food is made available to all animals, particularly the humans, uh, what practices do we need to follow so that the food must be distributed, must be uh, reached to every human being. There are many practices, there are many methods by which we ensure or we can ensure the distribution of food, or we can ensure so that all the population of the world can get food easily. There are some practices. Number one is regular production. How we produce different types of crops, different types of food items on a regular basis, because in a year there are some seasons which are specialized to particular crops, or which are having characters of growing particular crops. But how we can ensure the regular production of crops? Regular production of crops can ensure the food availability to humans. Number second is proper management. How we can manage the crop production? The management means you have to cultivate the crop, you have to reduce the losses of the crop, you have to make the crops healthy, and you have to increase the yields. These are all steps which you need to be dealt in the proper management. And then proper distribution. We see in the world some people are having a lot of food and some don't even get a single time meals. That is why the proper distribution, we have to distribute the food items properly through all human beings so that every human being can get the food. And now how we will deal with these three methods in this lesson, we take them one by one. Agricultural practices. You know that before 10,000 BC, man was nomadic. He was gathering food from place to place, and then after some time he managed to settle down in a particular area and cultivate different crops. And the due to the advancement of the technologies, or when the time passed, that advancement of the technologies occurred, and nowadays or today we produce a lot of crops in our fields. And what is a crop actually? What is crop actually is a, these are the plants of same kind. Important point: plants of same kind, only one kind of plants grown or cultivated at a place on a large scale, it is known as crop. For example, if we grow lot of wheat plants in a field, in a large area, so that the wheat plants get cultivated and release, and the crop gets formed. That means it is a single type of plants cultivated on large scale, it is known as crop. And these crops are definitely these are affected by the different seasons. In our country we have different seasons, and on the base of these seasons we can categorize the crops into many groups. Number one is kharif crop. Kharif crop is the crops sown in rainy season. When the rainy season in India, the rainy season starts or starts from June to September. That means those crops which we sow in our fields from June to September, the crops which we sow in these 2 3 months and then harvest in the late autumn, then harvest in the late this after October, November, December, then this crop is known as kharif crop. In kharif crops, we have paddy, maize, soybean, groundnut, cotton, etc. These are the kharif crops. That means the crops which are grown in rainy season or from June to September, it is known as kharif crop. And then what are rabi crops? Rabi crops are usually grown in winter. That means they are sown in the autumn season and then harvested in late spring. These crops are known as rabi crops like wheat, gram, pea, mustard and linseed. These are the crops which are grown in rabi season. Some crops do not get affected by any season. These are known as Z crops. Like vegetables, etc. These these are the two main crops, kharif crops and rabi crops, which are grown in our country. Now, what are the practices we need to cultivate these types of crops so that we can yield a good crop? What are the practices? Basic practice of crops. Number one, preparing of soil. How do we prepare soil? And then sowing. After preparation of the soil, we have to sow the seed in the soil, adding manure and fertilizer. Then we have to add fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, we have to add cow dung, etc. And then irrigation, we have to irrigate the land, we have to irrigate the crop, we have to add water on the fields. And then protecting from weeds. How do we protect these cultivated plants from the weeds, unwanted grass which grow in our fields? And then harvesting. After the crop gets mature, then we have to cut it down and collect the grains, or this is known as harvesting. Then after that, storage is very important. When we collected the crops, when we collected the grains, these grains should not be wasted, should not be eaten by rats, should not be eaten by birds. The crops or the grains should be properly stored so that the food should reach to every need person, and we can have the food supply throughout the year. Thank you. Have a nice day.